Hi, welcome to Park City from wherever you are, and welcome to our amazing audience and our illustrious panelists. My name is Emily Best. I'm the founder and CEO of Seed&Spark, and we are broadcasting live from the Innovators House, and it's okay, you can cheer. The Innovators House is a nod to our 10-year anniversary. 10 years ago, we were a tiny underfunded startup. We're now just a larger underfunded startup. We had only enough money to rent a space for 2 hours on the Tuesday of the festival, which is kind of when everybody starts leaving. So we did it from like 11 to 1, and we were like sort of a gang of up-and-coming companies, and so we called our brunch the Innovators Brunch. And what I didn't know about Sundance was how much FOMO there is here. And we started getting emails from people we had been desperate to meet, being like, I would like to tell you why I should be invited to the Innovators Brunch. And I was like, Franklin Leonard from the Blacklist, I agree with you. I've been dying to meet you, and I'm delighted you will attend. And I was looking through pictures of there recently. Chloe Zhao was there when she had just graduated from NYU Film School. And that's kind of the magic of coming back to this festival year after year, is there's people that you're meeting in this room right now who are at early or mid or even later stages in their career, and you're going to be able to track them again and again. It's really, really exciting to be a part of a creative community in that like longitudinal way. And so the Innovators House, very much thanks to the support of Omidyar Network and in partnership with an amazing new startup I really hope you all check out afterwards, which is Boxed Up, who is providing all of this equipment, which they can also do for you and your sets. We decided to partner together to do a nod to that original Innovators House, but have a few days of conversation, and this to me, this like intimacy in this room, this is Sundance. It's not the giant Acura Lodge, and it's not the I don't even know, like the White Claw room. There's a White Claw brand activation here at Sundance. It's very relevant to the independent film space. They probably won't sponsor us in the future, but I'm sorry. We do have a bunch of incredible sponsors: Liquid Death, Sanzo Beverages, we've been really, really lucky to work with wonderful values-aligned people. And now I'm going to stop talking because we need the panelists to start talking. The point of the Innovators House is to change the way we talk about and use the word innovation. So because I have a startup, I go to tech conferences a lot, and I always start really excited because everybody's there and they're entrepreneurial and they're offering solutions. And then by day 2, I feel really depressed because techno-solutionism has taken over, and I watch 15 companies pitch technology answers to our broken healthcare system when what we need to modify are our values. What we need to modify is our political system, right? So that is narrative change work. And so we're here at the Innovators House to redefine how we think about innovation as something that we can name afterwards as having changed the way we feel about ourselves, each other, and our future. And it makes me feel emotional because the people in this room are the people who do that work. And the people at this festival showing their movies, they're the people who do that work. It's not the people building the technology. It's the people telling stories about the technology. It's the people using technology to change the way we feel about our bodies. It's people using technology to help creators reach wider audiences. It's people building technology with profound ethics, and it's people building communities of technologists and ethicists and creators to actually reshape the systems that we're living in. And that's really what this conversation is going to anchor today. And I'm exploding about this panel because these are some of the most brilliant minds I know, and I'm just honored to share them with you and with you. I don't know who's looking at me. So we're just going to get started. And we're going to start with some light introductions we'll go through really quickly, and then we're going to dive right on in. So Aniyia Williams, will you kick us off?
Sure. Hi, I am Aniyia Williams. I'm a principal on the Responsible Technology team at Omidyar Network, and lead a workstream called The Tech We Want. We'll probably get into that a little bit in the panel.
Hi, I'm Jenny Dwork. I'm VP of Brand Marketing at a company called Wisp. We are the largest telehealth provider of sexual and reproductive health care in the country. So we'll talk more about how that's really helping to achieve the mission that Emily was speaking to. I'm very excited to see some of the faces here. We just realized we had a conversation earlier this year and didn't know we'd both be here. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Lela Meadow-Conner. I am a creative producer and a curator. I run an organization called Mamafilm, and our big curatorial project is called Repro Film, and we started as a virtual film festival during the pandemic and are now a monthly online, free to anybody, curated short film podcast playlist, all sorts of little bites of activism to get people involved and feel connected to the reproductive healthcare movement.
And hi, I'm Damian. I'm Chief Creative Officer, founder of WeTransfer, and we're one of those technology companies that is trying to do something decent, but maybe you were finger pointing, I'm not sure. I also realized no one else has shoes on. Why? I didn't get that memo.
Yeah, Damian, I brought you here as the token white guy, so we had somebody specific to hate throughout the course of the panel. I brought you here because I know your heart. And I know where you stand in the midst of all of this, and it's important, I think, for people to hear from you and what you're doing as well, because I think people have a lot of perceptions about certain technology companies and how they operate, and I think it's really important to know that there are really big successful ones that operate a little differently, because we don't have enough of those models at the forefront of these conversations. So I'm going to kick this to Aniyia first to give us kind of the lay of the land about the intersection of technology and narrative. So Aniyia?
Yeah. All right, let's kick this thing off, shall we? Well, so I guess I'll start by saying that I think about this in terms of narrative before and after social media. I think that before social media, people mostly got the things that the things that influenced what people think and what they feel and what they believe came from the news, it came from television, it came from film, and those were major vehicles that almost everybody was watching the same things, right? And having conversations about the same things and developing their feelings about the same things and having that story be told in a way to help sort of shape us in a certain direction. And then social media kind of started and it has proliferated, and I mean, now all of us are very online, and we live part of our lives on the internet. And now anyone can tell a story. Anybody can put a message out there. Anyone can try and are trying, lots of them, to shape what we feel, what we believe, what we think. And so I think that has now kind of opened this Pandora's box of what is narrative? Who are we talking to? What are we saying? Like, where are my people? And there's just like a whole new frontier.
Thank you for that. Damian, you have built a technology company, but you've also written a lot about what's wrong with technology. And so I'd be really curious to hear the sort of those two sides of your coin, is what you've built for scale. He's like, I've written a couple books about this. So, but what you've built for scale, and also some decisions that you've made to not participate in certain parts of the ecosystem that you feel are not ethical.
I mean, really, it's not even a 40-minute conversation, right? Technology does get a lot of bad rap. I mean, there is a lot of good that's come from it, and I don't want to focus on all the negativity because we're all very aware of that, I think. The thing where I think the technology companies were a bit slow, they're all catching up. And in a big part, actually, I think to companies like, or organizations like Omidyar, who we worked with a lot in 2015-16 with .Everyone, which was an organization really trying to push ethics in technology. But we were slow. The blame, I don't think, can be put purely on technology companies. It's also on you guys, to be honest, and it's on me, and it's on lobbyists, and it's on governments. And the sad reality, and I'll go on a bit of a Debbie Downer for a second, is that we're going to do it all over again. So we might have experienced that with the first internet. We're now on Web 3. We'll do exactly the same thing because everyone's running to these boom towns that will eventually disappear because we'll have forgotten what happened previously, and we're so desperate to try and find the new stuff. The thing that we have to do is not actually look to blame anybody else or look to put the blame on somebody else, but look to ourselves, I think, and work out where do we really want to spend our time. And I think that's a fundamental question that is an issue for Sundance, for the film industry, for the technology industry, everything else, that we've got massive FOMO. We really can't make decisions very well on our own. And I think have lost a little bit of track of how important time is. And I say this with 2 teenage kids who have no concept of time and waste hours, unfortunately, in all the wrong places. And probably done a terrible job as a parent, but you know what?
Okay, me too.
The only thing I would like them to really understand going forwards is that it's their time, they're in control. You're not obliged to do any of this stuff, and you're not obliged to use any of this technology. There's plenty of alternatives. Just do it with thought. And I think we've lost a little bit of track of that ourselves. So I sort of think it's on us really to fix it. Us, collectively.
I love that, first of all, because it's a story that everyone can see themselves a part of, which is really important. And it's also very interesting just to think about the narratives that we've absorbed about the need for technology or the need to be online. That's like, I'm the last year of Gen X. And like, we didn't need to be online until like I was in my mid to late 20s. And so it was a very sort of odd thing to watch come about up underneath us. And so part of this is about kind of unpacking those stories we tell ourselves, because those, to Damian's point, are some of the most important narratives to shift. So Lela, I would really like just to hear you talk a bit about technology and narrative storytelling and the way those two things have interacted in your world.
Yeah, absolutely. My background is in film festivals. So I spent the last 5 or 20 years in film festivals, regional film festivals, last 5 years running an organization called Film Festival Alliance that supports film festivals from across the country. And then the pandemic happened. And there are all sorts of conversations prior to the pandemic about, virtual film festivals are not real film festivals, and there'd be arguments about it in the Facebook group. And then guess what? All of a sudden, everyone was a virtual film festival. And as it turns out, it's super easy. It didn't seem so at the time, to go from in-person to virtual. What is harder is to go back. So one of the things that I'm always thinking about is audiences. And we have so much media out there and so many choices and so many options and so many algorithms telling us what to watch, click here, to click away. And I think I spend a lot of time thinking about what we're all fighting for are people's time. And there's 24 hours in a day, and we only have so much time to catch somebody's attention. So I started Repro Film as a virtual film festival in 2020, in the spring of 2020, with some partners from the Cleveland Film Festival, because they'd just done a very successful jump from in-person to online. And we got this small grant. I live in Wichita, Kansas, and we got this small grant from the Dr. George Tiller Foundation. And Dr. Tiller was an abortion doctor who was murdered outside of his church in Wichita. And I proposed a film series, because there were several really wonderful films coming out in 2020. Then the pandemic happened. So we pivoted really quickly, and we're like, okay, we're gonna do this online. We can do this. We can do this before the election. We can do all this. Very naively, coming from a programmer's side, not realizing that like every organization that is fighting for reproductive justice has their own agenda before this Trump-Clinton election. Was that Trump? Yeah. Anyway, sorry to bring that name into the mix. But we did it in 2020, and we did it in 2021, and we quickly realized that selling 5 days of films about reproductive health care from your couch is a really hard sell. People don't want to do it. So in 2022, we switched our format entirely, because I'm really interested in how you can experiment to reach audiences. We have a series called the Repro Film Periodical. Every month we curate a short film, some new, some have been living on the internet forever. We pay the filmmaker for that month of curation. We program that film. We do a podcast with the filmmaker. We sometimes do a Spotify playlist along the theme. We find articles that are interesting and relatable to the theme. And we highlight organizations who are doing the work. And it's underwritten, and so it's free to anybody who wants to get it. You can sign up at reprofilm.org or follow us on our socials, reprofilm, and every month watch a short film, join the conversation. And the whole idea is that activism, using technology in a way, drawing from media, writing, music, film, audio, to use small bites, to show that activism can be effective in small bites, and that doesn't have to be a black and white thing, and that it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be all or nothing. You can watch the film and be done. You could listen to the podcast and be done. It's really about thinking about reproductive health care and all of the issues. When you think about reproductive health care, we think about one topic. We think about abortion. And guess what? We got a lot of other shit going on in here. So, it's really important to talk about those things. And now what I'm finding is, and I'm sure we'll get to this a little bit more, is that how do we marry the community that we're building online with community in person? Because we really do need an outlet to be able to talk about these things.
I'm gonna pick up that thread shortly in terms of community, and Jess, I'd love for you to just talk a little bit about, because your work is narrative work, actually. So I'd love for you just to pick up the thread on the intersection of narrative, technology, and changing how we feel about ourselves.
Absolutely, and I think that's a very easy transition from what Lela was saying. So it's interesting because all of these things, community, social, innovation, technology, healthcare, it's kind of at the intersection of where we play. So we're Wisp, PelletWisp.com. We were started in 2018 and started really taking off during the pandemic, when folks could not get, general health care, either, your local clinic or doctor's office was overrun with COVID, or you were scared to go in person. But guess what? The woman's body does not stop having her period, or getting a UTI, or getting a yeast infection, or a herpes outbreak, or these things that we need chronic care for. We need preventative, and we need treatment. And so really a lot of the healthcare issues that we were all facing at that time, limited access to care because of the stress on our already stressed system, it's exacerbated for women and for people with vaginas, because we know these issues are ongoing. Putting all the abortion issues aside here. So we were there, open 24/7 for folks who, had an issue. And we're there with judgment-free care. We're really here to destigmatize, because your vagina is just another organ. It's like if you, something wrong with your eye, you're going to go to an eye doctor. Something wrong with your foot, you're going to go to a foot doctor. But so many women in this country don't seek the care that they need because of shame, because of stigma, because of cost, because of all of these different reasons. And that has to stop. And so we are here to make it a safe space, an accessible space that's safe and discreet and legitimate for people to get the care that they need. And when they found us, they were very happy because, it's crazy. Some of the reviews, like, I'm a 55-year-old woman, I've been in this body, I don't need to go to the doctor for them to tell me that, I have a UTI. And so we were there. We know when we have a UTI, thank you. I don't need to pay my copay. If I even have insurance, I don't need to go to urgent care. I just need some meds. That's it. And obviously all of that done in a very safe manner, where someone's reviewing your medical records and all prescribed doctors giving you that care. That's, without saying. And so we found, really a strong product market fit, because it's just a broken system. And so this is one area where I think, tech and innovation can really come in. It's not solving the whole system, but it's helping to address a gap in the system, because otherwise people who would need the care are not getting the care. And so it's interesting, speaking about bringing this conversation offline, we've had a lot of challenges because we are allowed to say the word vagina on our own platforms, on our own emails, on our website, on our social pages. Sometimes we get shut down. That's a whole nother issue with the social platforms and content suppression, because apparently vagina is a dirty word. But when we're trying to tell this larger story and get the word out there, we've been faced with a lot of rejection from traditional media. So going back into the world of billboards or traditional media, streaming video, even on the platforms like Hulu or Peacock or any of these, not to mention linear TV, we've been faced with a lot of issues in trying to explain to, the people who look a certain way and have a certain gender, who are in charge of those media platforms, why it's important to get that out there. We were literally told when we tried to do a Times Square billboard that vagina is not a family-friendly word. We all came from vaginas, and so I don't really... So that's the work that we're doing, and that's the work that we're doing through storytellers such as you guys, everyone, in this room and through creative folks who are able to get that message out in different creative ways. We found humor cuts through a lot. It's kind of, you're not gonna laugh, you're gonna cry. And we'll talk more about abortion and how that's been an interesting, new world and post Roe v. Wade and the world's medical abortion and telehealth medical abortion. But I've been talking a lot, so.
And there's an amazing film about that, Plan C Pills, that's here at the festival. And Imani Shabazz, who is Plan C's social media, TikTok wonder, will be here on Monday for those panels, and you at home can see those as well. So one very discrete piece of narrative change we can commit to today is just say vagina a lot.
Yes.
Say it 4 times today in casual conversation.
We have stickers too we'll hand out to everyone
Great.
with say vagina on them, so give them out.
Because I think it's so interesting, Damian, you set us on a path to talk about It Starts With Us. And we ended up talking about
Yes,
vaginas.
we did.
Which is where we all start. So sort of works out. It makes sense. I want to pick up this thread really quickly before we go too deep into vaginas.
Ba-doom-tsh.
That was just for me. I want to pick up on this thread about community and the intersection of community and technology. And Aniyia, I'd just be really curious because you are doing some very intentional community building around this to talk about kind of bringing those threads together.
Yeah, I kind of want to try to answer that question and connect a thread from something that Damian said too. I think that there's a project that I'm leading at Omidyar Network. It's called The Tech We Want. Emily is a fabulous part of that project, as well as 14 other incredible leaders who we have been learning from, shaping a collective vision really based off of so many ideas and experiences and thoughts and beliefs that sit within that group and that we think will help us at least kind of create, for lack of a better phrase, like a container that more people can fit into. Like really what I am tasked to do in my role at Omidyar is to help create the conditions for these leaders of networks and of communities and who have influence with audiences to be successful. All of them really sit at this kind of intersection of tech and justice. Many of them are very visible and also just, are really collectively, I think what we really arrived at and understanding toward the end of last year after spending time with this group was that we all wanted technology purpose for collective well-being. And so to kind of try to tie that thread with something that Damian was saying, I think that it's not necessarily about, innovation is like solutionism, but more so about we are trying to use this to solve problems. And I think that it's not just the technology itself that comes in and does the thing, right? Technology is not neutral, but it definitely is moved by whose hands it's in, right? And so I think that there is this piece where we have to kind of bring community together, kind of make these decisions, really understanding what is it that we want to have as a relationship with technology? What do we want technology to be doing? What kind of jobs should it have versus what kind of jobs should we have? And I think that a lot of that is also very much driven by the incentives of the system. I think that you can't really unwind the relationship between technology and capitalism. I think even to your point, bringing up Web3, a lot of reasons why that kind of tried to become the next gold rush, if you will, is because people are trying to get paid. People are broke, and it seemed like there was a lot of money being made really fast in this world. And it just turns out that it was built on vapor, and now it's collapsing. But it was people trying to try their hand at doing the things that they feel give them agency, help them take care of their families, help them try to realize what they feel like their purpose is in this world. And so I think that really, to your point, I think what I try to think about and what I try to do is to kind of look at folks who have already stood up and are leading and are examples of having that kind of intention, that kind of purpose, and want to do that in relationship with other people. Everybody's bringing different things to the barbecue, and we're all just trying to figure out okay, what do we want this party to be? And we're doing it with intention instead of allowing it to happen to us, being driven by these kind of larger systemic financial incentives.
So, Damian, you run a large technology system, and you have made some really intentional choices about how it works and how it doesn't work. And it's a very successful company. So I want to hear a little bit about your decision matrix as WeTransfer grew and scaled along the way. And I also just want people to know that WeTransfer has this amazing creator platform called WePresent. Do y'all know they won an Oscar last year? You know that Rami Malek short film? That was Riz. I'm gonna go home now. The internet's not gonna be kind to me about that. That's fine. It's been a long day already. The short film that was produced by WeTransfer. You try to do a good thing, it doesn't really work. And so you're thinking a lot also about creativity. So I just want to hear about sort of the decision matrix as you scale the company and why you are focused. He has given up his title as you were CEO, no? President? And now he's the Chief Creative Officer. Why?
That's a lot of work. And so I'm just going to contradict something you said earlier on, actually, that I think a lot of people with Web3 were trying to make money, but I think the biggest issue was they're trying to make money fast. And the thing that I don't agree with is this desire to pillage. And that's what a lot of it feels like. And I think if you look at what Seed&Spark have been doing for 10 years, what we've been doing, we've been doing it a long time, and we didn't try to take any shortcuts. We did the hard graft, we built community, we invested a lot in creativity, and we gave away 30% of our media from day one. Actually, 50% of our media we gave away from day one. And over time, we gave that to creators, so over time people would go, oh shit, you did that for me, I'm going to do something back for you. So it felt like it was quite natural that Riz would come to us for a film, because years ago we'd invested in projects with 11 Management, which is his music arm, and we'd worked with Spoke Matambo and Gorillas and Damon Albarn and stuff, giving them media and collaborating on stuff. So it was sort of natural evolution. But you got to do, I think you got to do the hard work. And today there is so many playbooks. The word playbook, I mean, that's part of the reason I don't want to be a CEO or something, is because the thing today, if you follow a playbook, you're going to look like everybody else. What you need today is to be a contrarian. You need to say the word vagina. I'm just going to say yesterday, I actually used the word vagina yesterday on Twitter, and it's the most popular tweet I ever made. So I don't know if you saw it, but over Turkey was this strange cloud formation. And the BBC tweeted it, and I was like, that doesn't look like a UFO, that looks like a massive vagina. Like, most popular tweet I've ever... I did get called a dirty old man by a couple of people. But,
there you go, we all got to embrace
yeah.
that.
So anyway, my point is you need to be a little bit contrarian, because everyone that's saying you can't say the word is the reason you should say it. There are some topics that I think you should cover because everyone says you can't cover them. And there are some ways that you should behave because everyone says that's not the playbook. That's the most exciting thing, is not being the playbook. The hardest thing is if you've taken VC funding, you've got a load of people behind you telling you, you got to do this because this is what we all know and do, then you've got to have pretty big balls to stand up to them and say, I'm not going to do that because in the longer run this is going to play out, and I'm not going to do this for 3 years. I'm in this for 100 years. But who's saying that? We lost this ability to actually enjoy the work we're doing, because even designers, and we have a lot of designers and creative people working for us, are thinking about an exit. 20 years ago, no one thought about an exit if you're a fucking designer. You were doing great work. You just wanted to design stuff, and your ambition was to just produce stuff that looked beautiful. And then you get credit, and you feel good about yourself. And you'd earn an okay wage, and you'd live a happy life. An exit where you're going to cash in and do nothing when you're 50, I mean, it's bizarre. It's a totally bizarre concept that you want that money, because what are you even going to do? We're going to live so much longer. I don't think people are thinking about how long you're going to live and how boring it's going to be, even if you've got loads of money. So enjoy what you do and be a contrarian, I think is most important.
Well, it's interesting, if I can just pick up from what you were saying about, being kind of directed by the VC or the PE money or however you're getting your financial backing. I'll tell a story, I don't know if I'm supposed to disclose, but about our medical abortion offering. So when Roe v. Wade was overturned last summer, we had reproductive care, like birth control and emergency contraception, and we just saw this influx of demand for emergency contraception, up like 3,000%, literally, day over day, because people around the country were very afraid. So we had been looking at medical abortion, which is it's abortion pills. It makes up 50% of abortions in this country. They've been FDA approved for a long time now, I think 20 years now. It's safe up to 10 to 12 weeks. And we were looking at it, and, telehealth is a great platform for it. And through COVID, it was FDA approved to send these pills over the mail. And we found, after Roe v. Wade was overturned, we felt as people who were at the brand that we needed to accelerate this rollout, and we needed to do this and stand behind our audience of people with vaginas. And, there was a lot of trepidation from the team. We're majority stake acquired, owned by a public company out of Canada. And we were all really nervous. So we sort of soft launched it, on our own channels, didn't put a lot of media behind it. And we wanted to see what the reception would be. We didn't even have it on, the nav of our site. And, we tracked it closely, and overwhelmingly, the people spoke. We had, a couple unsubscribes. I think we all know the stats in this country. By far and away, the majority believe that a woman should have the right to do what she wants with her body. But it was really great to kind of see that people, supporting us. And we were able to go back up to the powers that be and tell that story and say, hey, if anything, we're just getting support. People are, talking about us on social. These partnerships are coming out because people see that we're doing this. Press wants to talk to us. This is, aside from the good that we're doing and how much of a need there is, people are supporting us in the community. And so we're able to go back up the ladder and say, hey, this is actually a net good thing for our business. And so we've been able to do that, really stand behind it, roll it out in 9 states, making us the largest telehealth provider in the country, and are really happy to be standing behind it. So
I think that's such an interesting argument for the dedication to the community. I feel like that's 100% of the innovation that has come at Seed&Spark has been because of what filmmakers were saying that they needed. And that has allowed us to grow in the ways that we really want to and justify that growth. Because Damian, having had the experience many times of talking to investors who say, well, you should do it like this. And I'm like, cool, but I'm just not going to do it like that because that's not what's best for the community. And we're nothing without them. And so it's really interesting to be able to sort of see how you rely on that. And Lela, I'm curious because you are in Kansas, and that can be a political minefield. I say this as someone living in Georgia. How do you sort of interact with, rely on, build your community when you're talking about something that is not but polarizing?
Yeah, before I answer that, I just wanted to say that right now on our platform, reprofilm.org, we have a film called Miso, and it's a short film about self-managed abortion and about having an abortion doula if you're having a self-managed abortion at home. So lots of great information there. You should check it out. But another really great example of how, we can use narrative film to change and really educate people. But yeah, I'm based in Kansas, and we have done a few events there. We did a big event before the August 2nd vote. That was like this historic vote. But as it turns out, you live in a red state, but I feel like sometimes, the community comes out in bigger numbers and in bigger ways in places where, there's adversity to those things. And we had a great event. We had Just Jacob's Film Choices, and we did a concert, and it was really amazing. And we got out a lot of young people. And I'm not saying, we were the ones that made the vote happen, but, there is something very, there's something that brings the community together when you're the minority in that sense. And so that was really wonderful. But, what I'm doing is nonprofit, unlike any of you. So I'm not making any money, and I'm giving away our product for free. but what I, really thinking about are ways to get these films in front of audiences beyond, virtual screenings or film festivals, and partnering with platforms that are looking to use narrative storytelling or documentary storytelling as a way to further their mission or the values that they believe in. And I think there's a huge opportunity there in brand storytelling, whether or not you're, funding films or you're partnering with films and causes that you believe in, to use your massive email list or your massive platform to really help make this change.
So I am devastated to report that we have 1 minute left for this panel, because I think this conversation should go on for 2 to 3 more hours. I'm going to make some recommendations to you all. So it starts with you. That was our big challenge from Damian, and Damian's got a couple of really incredible books that are very, very worth reading. Aniyia is the most fire person on Twitter who's ever existed, and if you really want to know the insides of her mind, and different tracks that she's thinking about, that is a place to go. HelloWisp.com for care, and it's Mamafilm. Reprofilm.org. And reprofilm.org. These are people whose minds you out there, these are people whose minds I want you to be learning from as much as possible at the intersection of narrative change and technology. These are the people that are creating the examples for what we want to manifest next in a more mutualist, caring, empathetic, meaning, but like able to take care of the true diversity of our communities, that kind of society. So thank you so much for your time. I'm horrified we didn't get much deeper in the conversation. We learned something for next year, and I'm just telling you right now, we are back here next year for this conversation.
Talking about vagina.
For 2 hours.
Say vagina.
And everybody say vagina. 1, 2, 3. Yay! Thank you.